Well. Welcome back to Krown's Kiddo Cave. It's a nice little early Wednesday evening over here from Chicago, Illinois. As always, wish you well as we go into the blue world of Willy Wonka right now, is what it kind of looks like on my screen. Hopefully the mic's actually coming in well as well, which I do believe it is. But as always, please let me know. I'm always looking for good not just good feedback, but all sorts of feedbacks, whether it's good or bad or happy or sad, or I think that's a song. But anyways, I want to talk about some goddamn Bitcoin. I want to follow up from this morning's live stream, as a lot of price action has emerged since then, but the higher time frames, the bigger picture, still relatively the same. So with all that said, as always, wish you the best, the happiest, and let's get in a live scene right here, right now, as I initiate that teleportation. What's going to happen this time? Holy fucking moly! I need to work on that transition a little bit more. Anyways, I always like to start off with a little bit of proof of trade, showing some skin in the game. While I haven't really been trading spot because I don't really want to, I think it's just a little bit more difficult right now. I'd rather trade options, and the reason why I'd rather trade options is because I do have a little, on the bigger picture, did have a little bit more of a downwards bias, but don't really want a short spot. Would rather do it on options. It's just easier to cover if it does actually go against me. You guys have been watching this position just slowly but surely throughout this week, crawl upwards and onwards. And I think yesterday I was running a little bit under 2 Bitcoin profit. Now my P&L about 2.6, so a little bit over 2.5 Bitcoin with about 2 days left till expiration. So this is mostly premium now. In fact, I should just buy these back right here. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. No sense in having all that premium just kind of exposed, and probably for these guys, always makes this difficult, but probably not going to be going over these guys. So you know what? I'll actually just buy back just a little bit right here. Let's do 5 contracts. Why not? Anyways, with regards to that, just freeing up some space so I can actually throw it onto the next expiration. But when we get into the actual charts themselves, probably am going to be looking for a bounce from this region to begin with. So perhaps after the bounce plays out, then I might be selling some more premium. Maybe it could also be that Bitcoin just flails around. But I do want to provide specific. I want to talk specifically about this right here. This is my theta. So if you're familiar with options, theta is what goes in your account with each and every settling period. Up until expiration essentially, and my theta is quite high on my streamer account. Again, this is an account that's not my main account. It's just an account that I really do for trading on streaming, so I can show a little bit of skin in the game without actually having to fully informally do like my main account, which I feel is a little bit, it's like being naked, right? It's kind of like privacy as well, and want to be safe with it. But even with this account right here, which these are not huge positions. These are not huge positions at all, and I just took profit on 5 of these guys, which, to be fair, they don't really have anything left in them to be quite serious. Still running a massive theta on this guy. So I do want to show that the power of options, even when you are trading counter to the overall macro trend, as we're going to see right on over here, still feeling quite confident within that. So anyways, with regards to Bitcoin right now, we left off this morning when Bitcoin had actually just initially started bouncing, and right after the stream, we actually saw this massive girthy red dildo right here, shoving us right back down to basically where we started from, and it's kind of like that OC song. But it's fucking dumb. Sorry about that. Getting very serious right now. But my point is that there are actually a couple of people who reached out to me and messaged me. So bounce not going to be playing out now, is it? It's like, hold on, man. We're talking about 1 hour worth of price action right here. We're basically back to where we started, right when we left off once again. And I do think that a bounce emerges from this area, and this always brings up that same conversation, which it's actually really, really happy to see earlier. I guess I'll just talk about that in a second, but it always brings back that same conversation of, hey, when I'm talking, I always have to separate the time frames. Hopefully, I try to be as clear as possible. But I also understand that it's kind of impossible to do that, and I'm probably also just not the best at it. I know that I probably have some communication issues, but more importantly, while some people were like, so bounce not happening now, huh? It's like, actually a lot of other people said, hey man, you need to fucking zoom it out a little bit. So that's actually really, really encouraging to see, because it does show me that most people understand this. Really just a select few who, I don't know, maybe they just hear something like offhand, or maybe I didn't do the best job of expressing it, and it just sounds like wrong, right? But I feel like whenever you kind of make whenever you talk about price action, if it doesn't happen within like the next fucking 30 minutes, people people get crazy, man. They get fucking crazy. Anyways, the way that I kind of identify this right now is actually as a falling channel, which is typically a bullishly resolved pattern. Now, just because it is a bullishly resolved pattern, statistically speaking, doesn't incorporate the time taken to actually resolve it within this formation right here. So as you can see right now, we've been in this for the last 5-6 days, and we can certainly stay in there for another 5 or 6 days. And more importantly, it's not until we actually break out the top side of this guy where we can talk about a measure move, perhaps, because of course it's going to be relevant to where it actually breaks out. But if we were to break out from around this area that we're looking at right now, we'd probably be looking at a measure move back over here towards if I had to eyeball it, probably somewhere right around about 10.4 to 10.5, I'd imagine would be where I'd be looking towards. So do keep your eyes on this area right here. It can also be confluent on the top side of this resistance with this horizontal right here coming in from this last sort of swing high rejection, and also this sort of consolidation right here, and also matching up with the hourly crazy number 50 exponential moving average right here, that green moving average, as you can see. So if we actually do break above this region at 9,900ish region, then actually would be looking for this to initiate that next measure move, or sorry, not actually to the next measure move. I'd be looking for a move here towards 10,150, probably have a pullback on lower time frames, and then probably accelerate to the upside. So again, to follow from this morning's video, we got the first move that we were looking for, right? We got the move from about 9,600 to 9,900, $300 move, nicely done. There you go. It backs off after that. Now this dump right here, am I going to claim victory that is saying like I knew it was going to dump from 9,900 exactly to 56, or sorry, not 56, but 96. Jesus Christ, man, bad slip of the tongues. No, I don't know that, but I do, but from what I'm looking at, we're likely to get a pullback right on over here. And then once you see Bitcoin kind of find a little bit of support in this region, you can, likely load up the longs once again, especially once we work our way back into this blue box territory right here, which is exactly what happened. Of course, on the hourly, it looks quite nasty, but that's because you're looking at a fucking hourly. Go over here to a 4-hour, and the chart's going to make a lot more sense. You can see right here that the 4-hour is still pretty much playing in the exact same zone. Actually, if I just adjust ever so slightly to accurately gauge it, I really want to be seeing these supportive resistance trend lines between this bottom area right here and also the blue 3.7 cent exponential moving average in the background, which you can just barely see in the fading of this. Anyways, my point is that if we pull up all of our oscillators on the lower time frames, I actually do think that this bounce plays out. Now, before this gets mistaken maybe as like Krown being like super uber bullish, while I do want to be a perma bull, I'm going to be showing some things a little bit later, which I've been showing over the past few days, which, well, fair. We'll get to that. Anyways, for right now, lower time frames do look like they want to play out of bounds. We do see 4-hour Stokes pointed to the upside and actually just wanting to kind of turn the corner here. Usually, when you see a lot of snakes around in the critical zone, once we get back up above the critical zone, that's actually where the move plays out. So we are inching closer and closer. We're not quite there just yet, but we're getting damn close. More importantly, though, the last few crosses that we've seen from this territory, from the critical territory, we're riding over here and riding over here. Well, I mean, you see where they are, but let's actually talk fucking price action with regards to them. And we do see this last one from 17th of July coming out of that's not a racist statement, by the way. It's just saying the word. So fucking dumb. I feel like you actually have to talk about that nowadays. It's crazy. Anyways, coming out of this $9,700 base right here, we worked our way all the way up to about 11,100. So what, about a $1,500 move? Pretty damn good. The time before that, we had a cross riding over here on the 14th of July, and that was catching this base coming out of 10.3 all the way up to 11.1. So about a $700, $800 move. The time before that, and that was a weaker one, by the way. And the time before that was this guy riding over here from July 11th base coming out of this area right here from 11.2 all the way to 11.8, so about $600 move. And then the time before that, and I'm not going to go through all these, but the time before that in a similar position was 1st of July over here, and that was coming out of this base, leading up from about low 10,000s all the way to, I mean, do you want to call it almost 12,000 right here for a $2,000 play, or do you call it all the way up here to $13,000? You get my point. Still a pretty damn good move either which way. And so what I'm really looking for is I'm looking for a little bit of bullish divergence here, which we actually do have. It looks like we do have. Do we have lower lows here? No, we have about the same low. Yeah, we don't even have the same low. It's actually technically slightly higher, and it's not really confirmed as a local low to begin with, anyways. So we don't really have any divergence to be looking at. But more importantly, we do see, the 4-hour RSI actually get back above this exponential right here, and it's starting to look a little bit more constructive after the destruction that we've seen over the past week or so to the downside. So to me, that's starting to gain momentum once again. And is that going to be enough to actually break this falling channel to the upside? I don't think I'd be willing to call that right now. I do think that it happens over time, but I think that it's also going to take that lovely variable of time to kind of complete itself. So to kind of sidestep all of the bullshit of of people maybe, well, the thing is that when you're talking about time, it means different things to different people, unfortunately. So it's really hard to kind of nail down. But my point is here with the 4-hour, looking at a formation like this, probably in the next couple days, if I had to put a time frame on it, which I really dislike doing because I don't think that can really be done. And you've seen me multiple times get the timing of these things completely fucking wrong, but getting the price action right. And what do you need to make money? The fucking price action, not the timing of it. Well, you want the timing of it as well, but you get my point with what I'm focusing on right now. Anyways, Jesus Christ, just talking to myself into a hole. Anyways, all the lower time frames are starting to line up, and this is what I've been focusing on for the last week or so, and this is kind of the example that I want to provide. So when I see the 1 hour to 4 hour all align with each other, kind of like the stars aligning, that is usually when I get those nice big bounces on the lower time frames. Typically, the tune of like 500 to about in some cases even like $1,000 plus move. But we are seeing 3-hour Stokes actually head up to the upside right here as well, and they are above the critical zone, and I really, really like this. They have been damn good at getting the momentum, especially when we actually cross up back above that critical zone right there. Last few crosses very similar to the 4-hour, but I actually do think that the 3-hour gets it a little bit better. Going over here to the 2-hour and 3-hour RSI was getting back above the exponential as well. 2-hour right here actually does have a little bit of bullish divergence. And did the 3-hour actually have bullish divergence? Yes, we do have bullish divergence on the 3-hour, so I do think that we at the very least get a test back to 99.50. But going on over here to the 2-hour, we do see 2-hour Stokes up as well. So that's 3 out of 4 so far. We kind of did this backwards, to be fair, and some bullish divergence we played on this one as well. And also the Jewel gave a pretty damn good buy right on over here a few ticks ago for a nice little play. And hourly, what do we have on hourly? Hourly Stokes are actually freshly across the upside once again as well. We do actually have a little bit of descending behavior right here. We do have a nice trend line forming, but the thing is that when you see actually some snakes going on around the actual trend line that's forming, usually that's kind of winding up to actually create the energy to break it. If I had to make an analogy, kind of like winding up in the way that you'd wind up like a fucking, I don't know, like a spring or whatever it is. So to me, all of these things are agreeing with each other. This is likely where we actually do see the bounce emerge from. How long does it take? Again, a conversation that I think it probably just confuses more than anything. And I don't know either. I don't fucking know timing of any of this shit. I would say that it's probably going to be within the next 2 days, if not now. But yes, I am still looking for that bounce higher. I feel like it's come back down, retested. We reject from going lower. We have a slew of bull wicks below this blue box territory right here. That looks like a hunt to me. That looks like a stop hunt plus a bear trap, and then straight upwards and onwards as we bust through this blue box territory, the liquid zone, back to the upside, getting for at the very least getting ready for a test of the top side of this resistance, which kind of you could make the argument that we already kind of tested it right here. But I do think that if we actually break it, and if we break it from this current posturing, that's actually going to be a pretty damn nice move, and it would imply a target of around 10,350 to 10,400ish region, somewhere right around here. However, like I said, when you're talking about all the different time frames, there's probably going to be pullbacks along the way. Probably one right around here. It's not going to happen all within the span of 1 hour. I feel like I have to say these things now, but then again, maybe I shouldn't say these things because it seems like people already get it. So if people already get it, then those are the people that I want to speak to anyways. So they already fucking know. Yeah, I'll just do that, man. Jesus Christ, man. Fucking goddamn. So seeing all these things line up, I do like that. I'm curious if it lines up with any of the higher time frames as well. We do see 12-hour right here. 12-hour down, actually. 12-hour down and actually a clear rejection of the bullish control zone along the way, getting back into the neutral zone here. What about daily? Is daily up or down right now? Daily's technically down actually, so not good. Really not good on on both those higher time frames. But more importantly to me, we had I think we've already had the brunt of the move from losing this area right on over here, that 10-3 support that was so important, and also of course the death cross on the 4-hour doing a lot of damage. I think that we are really gearing up for our first major bounce here. First major major resistance is going to be right around 10,100, right where this 50 exponential moving average is right here. If we can actually take out 10,100 to the upside, from a daily perspective, we actually do have some nice airtime. At that point in time, I'd really only be looking at the yellow 21. Of course, my rule is that as long as you're below the 21 exponential moving average on the daily, I don't really want to play things, up to the long side. I'm not going to be taking any longs essentially. By the same token, do I want to be playing shorts? That would be the time too, when you're below it, as you can see right here, just governing all of these highs thus far. But I really don't want to do that. I've been selling premium on that, which I feel a lot more comfortable with doing, just because, again, for me, it's easier to cover. And if you know a little bit of options, then you probably know what I'm talking about. Anyways, while we are here on the daily, let's go check out what the other oscillators are saying. We do see daily Jewel kind of lining up for some right here. This is a little bit nasty. Looks like I just got filled on the rest of my calls. Yeah, buying these guys back right there. Good. Okay, great. So I get to free up a little bit of margin. Well, probably not too much. But more importantly, with the Jewel right here, I'm getting a little bit apprehensive with it, because as long as we are living below this pink slower oscillator, it does actually show that there is more downwards pressure on price action on the longer term. But for now, lower time frames probably want to bounce. Medium, higher time frames, still not the most inspiring of all time. More importantly, let's actually go over and check out Mrs. Litecoin. Mrs. Litecoin's been a pretty damn good indication of what the market wants to do, and she makes me think that we actually do carry on this bounce a little bit higher. This is a pretty damn good reaction off the purple 200 exponential moving average right here. And to me, this is basically almost a bullish engulfing dildo as we're working on it right now. It's kind of like the opposite of a Darth Maul dildo. It's like a Yoda but double-sided dildo right there. Powerful Yoda. Powerful. No, he doesn't have double-sided. Who has a double-sided? Who's good? Well, probably not. Probably not anyone. Good and bad. It's just a judgment anyway, so it doesn't matter. Anyways, looking at daily stokes right here, headed upwards and always a little bit weak to the upside, but I do believe if we can close anywhere here, or especially anywhere above the 10 simple at almost $94, which we're right there. We're about 11 cents under par right there. Then I would be looking for this to actually carry upwards and onwards and probably test around 100, 101 and a half area, and then we'll kind of reassess from there. Of course, the yellow 21 exponential moving average, just like Bitcoin, is the resistance to be aware of. If we can get back above here, it would not only create a higher high above this last rejection, but also get back above the yellow 21, and then we can talk about a move much higher towards 118 to 120ish region. As I reach for my water, because I'm damn thirsty. 1 second, my friends. So unprofessional. Jesus Christ, man. Drinking water in the middle of a stream? My God. Anyways, it also gives me a chance to look at if I'm actually recording, if my mic's working. So far, so good. Hopefully there's no fucking underwater echoes. But yeah. For Mrs. Litecoin, I actually do think that she does this and carries the rest of the market. I do think that Litecoin is actually leading here. And if we actually can get continuation above this region, especially if we can close today above the red 10 symbol, I'd strongly say that this is likely to turn into a local low here. If not, it gets confirmed actually on this close. If we could close above 95 and 12 cents, it would be confirmed immediately. Well, basically because it's a bullish engulfing dildo. Going over here to the weekly, I do want to remind myself that Mrs. Litecoin actually did have a damn good reaction off the yellow 21 exponential moving average, which we're about to talk about a lot on Mr. Bitcoin in just a second. Don't worry, we're going to get back to that in just a second. And then more importantly, this week, while we have had a little bit of hunting to the downside, still defending the yellow 21, it does say that from a longer term perspective, this is actually still quite healthy. A strong asset, or not even a strong asset, but a healthy asset, will typically come back down and test its weekly 21 exponential moving average over a long period of time during its more hefty and nasty consolidations, as you can see right here. Anyways, talking about Bitcoin now. So we spoke about the lower time frames. Yes, I do think that the bounce gets carried up on lower time frames. Longer term, though, I'm going to talk about what I've been talking about for the last few days. I've been talking about it for the last few weeks, ever since we really got in this region as, as a possibility, but now it's starting to really actually stare us right in the face. So let's get to it. And let's take off all the major moving averages except for the 21 and the red 10 simple. Of course, we can say the same thing as we said about Mrs. Litecoin right here. The 21 exponential moving average, no matter what asset it is, just in any really trending markets, typically plays off the 21. Whether it's to the upside, it'll dump down to it. Whether it's to the downside, it'll usually pump up to it and then sell off. You see right here, Bitcoin has a damn good history of playing off it the whole way through, both to the upside and to the downside. So I really do like that. We know that the bots and algos are programmed to respect it. More importantly, we actually haven't seen any single test of the 21 exponential moving average in this whole run to the upside. We've tested the red 10 simple a few times, which is okay. You don't always have to come back down to your 21. If you're extremely strong, you will come down to your red 10 simple and play off that. But with Bitcoin playing out a lot of sideways action within this region right here, I do think that it becomes less and less likely. I'm going to take this one step further right now. So turn your eyes away if you really want to be bullish, looking for Bitcoin to kind of reverse here back onto like $16,000 or $20,000 today, this moment, within this next hour, 30 minutes, or you're wrong, or whatever it ends up being. And we'll bring up our oscillators right here. And I want to pay specific attention to the Joule. The Joule is doing something that it's done plenty of times before. We have a very specific signature here where we get the light blue oscillator in the critical zone above this 80 marker right here, then red flashes in the background, and then we get a negative slope on that light blue oscillator. When we get all of those things lined up with each other, we get at the very least a test down to the yellow 21 exponential moving average each and every time in the history of Bitcoin. It has happened. We have this first one right in over here. This one was a pretty nasty move to the downside, about 55%. This guy running over here, probably like another 50 to 60% move. But again, down to the 21. It does work its way lower over time, but first and foremost does hit the 21. Another example right on over here, straight move down to the 21. Then we scroll onwards. And what do we have right here on our next example? Straight down to the 21, actually the next week. Does wick lower, but that's okay. Never closes below. More importantly, this next one right on over here, straight down to the 21 a few weeks later. This next one right on over here, straight down to the 21 exponential moving average about 2 months later now. And then of course the ultimate high and then this guy right on over here, straight down to the 21 a couple weeks later after the initiation. And then this guy right on over here on the top of $20,000, heading down to the 21, and then actually lower over time, of course, because it was a changing mark cycle. Anyways, what are we looking at right here right now on Bitcoin? We actually do have that same sort of signature. We have the light blue oscillator into the more critical zone. It's got a negative slope, and we have red flash in the background. We are fucking around with the pink slower oscillator right here. Typically on your first pass, you actually will bounce off it a little bit. So this could certainly open up the discussion of this consolidation playing out a lot more longer. And, we could trade maybe back up to like 11.5, something like that. But ultimately, this would be, if we don't come down to the 21, this would be the first example out of, I believe, 9. Yeah, I believe n equals 9 here. That has not happened. So I would say that's quite unlikely, and we are kind of getting down to crunch time right now. Not only that, but weekly does have bearish divergence on it, and we are wrangled below the exponential moving average right here and kicked out of the bullish control zone all along the way. And we do, of course, obviously see weekly Stokes coming down back below the critical zone. So longer term, I do think that this, it'd be kind of naive to say that if it's happened 100% of the time in the past, is it not going to happen this time? I mean, it's always a possibility. Is it probable? Not very probable if we're going off statistics, which is essentially what technical analysis is, just finding statistical edge to make trades off of for long-term, net success, essentially. And looking at this right here, I mean, I do believe that we come down and test a 20-month exponential moving average, which is around 8,100 right now and going to be rising up with each and every passing week. But it also doesn't really tell us the timing of this. However, if you do remember in the past examples, they have taken as long as I think the longest one was like a couple months right here before it fell over. But we're kind of nearing that point right now. Usually they came back and tested the 21, either like the next, in the next few ticks, really. So this one right on over here, we really got to this area, I'd say early June. So we're kind of working on like a month and a half right now, a little bit more than, almost 2 months. So it's really, it's really kind of squeezing it, from a long-term perspective. We really haven't seen, we've seen one other example like this, but it's kind of unlikely is my point. So I do think that at some point over time we will test a 21. The thing is, though, the timing of this, and this is very important, the timing of this, the longer that Bitcoin goes sideways within this region, essentially the longer that Bitcoin doesn't break down, especially below the red 10 simple, the longer that the 21 exponential moving average will have to kind of catch up to price action. So it could be it could be a scenario where we actually spend a lot of time going sideways here, as I do think, we have a little bit of upside in the lower time frames. That could obviously change around the picture as well, and maybe just the longer that it goes sideways, this guy has a chance to catch up, and then maybe we actually could make a low, maybe like in the mid to low, in the mid to low 9,000s. Possible, yes. Is it probable? Well, I don't really know if I can say if it's probable or not, but we are kind of on like a ticking time bomb because we will be in uncharted territory within the next couple weeks, as that's going to be the longest that we have gone from signal to not testing the 21 after that. Again, like I said, it could always be a scenario of, is this going to be the first time that it doesn't happen? Possible. Probable? Not really. Anyways, so with regards to that, of course, always have to be aware of the good old gap on the CME. This gap boy is going to love this one. 8,500 still very much present all the way from 14th of June. And yes, at some point in time, it will come into play. In fact, CMEs look a lot more bearish here, to be fair. CMEs actually look quite nasty right here. They look like they want to fall off the face of a cliff right now and actually make that leg down to 84. Shit, maybe I might be changing around my views, but we'll get back to spot charts anyways. So yeah, 8,500 will be an area of interest. Of course, everyone and their fucking mother's talking about it. It's no secret. It's no like surprise of 8,500. And usually when you get that sort of scenario, when everyone's kind of looking at a singular area, you either get, overshot. So that'd probably equate to a move, deep into the about deep into the 7,000, maybe like 7,500, 7,800 right here, or it gets front ran, which would imply a test down to maybe like 89, 8,800ish region, and then moves upwards and onwards. So again, just some market psychology to be aware of as we kind of approach a region like this. Anyways, back on over into spot charts right here. And so far, holding it up so good, and still a little bit lackluster here, but that's okay. 45 minutes and 55 seconds left to go until the daily total close, so not so much time to kind of fuck around with things, but of course, you always do see a lot of price action being postured around during the daily total close. I think the big thing for me is Litecoin. So I'm actually going to go back to Litecoin right now and show that Litecoin's back above the red 10 simple officially now at 94 and 30 cents. If we can close above the red 10 simple, I think that would be pretty damn good for setting up a move towards $100. If we could actually close today above the top of yesterday, which was like right around here, above about 95 and a half or 95 and a quarter, that would be even more encouraging, I'd say, because this would be a bullish engulfing, and we very, 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 very likely get some continuation after that. So yeah. Of course, if we actually do get above this hump right here, I'd be expecting Bitcoin to get back into the 11,000 region plus as well. Anyways, let's see. Traditional markets, bullish as fuck, as we spoke about during this morning, man. And again, I don't see what all the bears are seeing right now. I understand that everyone thinks that like the Mueller investigation is going to do all this and that, but at the end of the day, man, strong markets beget strength. And this one making new all-time highs for forever, like literally new all-time highs today. And just as we spoke about during this morning's video, and I do think that this has more continuation to go upwards and onwards, actually. In fact, if we go down to the lower time frames, you will notice that this is basically, what do you want to call a pattern like this? You can say all sorts of names. I'm sure some people will call it a cup and handle. Some people will call it like the flying W or something like that. We can usually do something like this, and so it'd point towards a measure move about 303.5 over time. But we actually do have a breakout right here. It's not too impressive, but hey, it works and it gets the job done for now. Anyways, go check out gold really quick. I know a lot of people looking at gold. Gold, I do think, is going to move up here. Did come back down and test our lower trend line. We did not get the move that I was looking for to test the 21, but that's okay. This trend line actually a little bit more important for the overall formation. Even with a fake out right here, which I'm really not a big fan of. This actually is tradable with the stop right below the prior low. Very, 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 very simplistic type shit. I mean, shit, you could even have one a little bit lower than the red 10 simple. Of course, it's not financial advice, not financial advisor, but does look like it's likely getting ready to me to have a move to the upside. I would kind of fade this statement if we do lose the 21 to the downside, but I do believe that you can be bullish on this one as long as you're above the 21 ultimately. And weekly, while it is kind of struggling here, I do think gets continuation. I think silver is actually looking good as well, even though I'm not like the biggest fan of those assets. As far as charts go, they're fine, and for the most part, and for the most part, looking like they want to move higher. Anyways, going back to Bitcoin right on over here. Let's see. Did I talk about everything that I want to talk about? We can talk about the 4 hour for a second here. I suppose I will. Just why not? While we are here, let's put on the golden cross and the death cross moving averages right here, and we'll leave on the 21 as well. So everyone's talking about the death cross, or I don't know if everyone's talking about the death cross, but everyone here has been talking about the death cross for a while, and we officially got it a few days ago on the 22nd, confirmed. And more importantly, we're getting divergence between these two moving averages, the purple 200 exponential moving average and the green 50 exponential moving average right here. Hey, god damn, man. Get these fucking notifications off my computer. Leave me alone. Bastard. Sorry. Anyways, so they're gaining divergence away from each other, which is telling you what? It's telling you that the trend is strengthening to the downside. We're being governed by the yellow 21 on all these last little local highs. So I would go as far as saying that your first initial warning signal that the death cross is losing its strength is if Bitcoin can open and close a 4-hour doodle above the 21. And that's open and close, not just close, but open and close. And going back through the annals of history, if we can go back to the last bull market, as this is a straight up trend right here, the macro is up. As you see, we got the golden cross right in over here on the 4-hour, leading us all the way from 3,500 to about 14,000. The time before that, where we actually were getting, death crosses and golden crosses, not during 2018, because that's not really fair to compare it with during a bear market, but during the straight up market from, what was it, like, Jesus Christ, we need to go to a different exchange. Here we go. During, 2015 to 2017 region was just straight up for Bitcoin. So that's a little bit more comparable as far as the overall market feeling, if you want to call it that. So scroll back on over here. There we go. Okay, beautiful. And yeah, this is about where the market turned around. So each and every death cross and golden cross after this are the other relevant ones that I want to talk about. And so we start off with this guy first right here. We get the death cross. Price action is actually significantly lower already. But from body to body, we do about 14.5% move damage to the downside. And then more importantly, we get the golden cross right on over here. It doesn't get you the ultimate low, but it does get you the momentum to the upside, which I think is actually significantly more powerful and important, especially as a trader. And that's the next big trade, really. I mean, that's really what I'm waiting for. Really what I'm going to show here. I mean, we just move straight up to the upside for the next, I don't know, 6 months or so. Then we get a death cross right on over here. In fact, the damage had already been done once the cross had happened. We do get a little bit of a downwards move right here, but we don't make any lower lows, actually. About 6.71%. And then more importantly, we pop back up and get the golden cross right on over here. And then it's, glory times once again. And this one, as you can see, really only lasted about, a few days, all the way from the 12th to the 18th. So, a little bit less than, the 12th to the 20th. Yeah, so about a week, a little bit over a week. Then next time we got a death cross was right on over here. We actually do put in a lower low here, and it does play out for quite some time. This one about almost 20% down. We get the golden cross right on over here. So that's about a month away. Yeah, so this one, death cross happened on 19th of March. Golden cross happened on 4th of April. So, I suppose that's only a couple weeks in. So yeah, another couple weeks of price action right there. Then where's our next death cross going on right on over here in 2017. Bitcoin actually plays out some pretty nasty downside here, about 23%. So this is the most significant one right here. Then we get the golden cross about, how long is this? We get this on, we get the death cross on 11th of July, and then we get the golden cross on 21st of July. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Again, and then I think the next example after that is after we put it. No, sorry, this is still during our uptrend. So this guy right on over here getting a pretty not really getting it all that well. We do move lower from the death cross to the actual low of about 13%. But again, this one happens on the 14th of September, gets golden crossed on the 28th of September. So literally about 2 weeks. So usually a little, around a week to 2 weeks is kind of the going rate for this. Yeah, and then the top at 20,000. So different mark cycle over there. So usually about a week to 2 weeks is the length that it plays out, and the downside damage that's done, I mean, at most 20%-ish region, and it's little as like 6 to 7%. So if we were to shave off perhaps 20% off this region right here, like worst case scenario, where that put us in in around. Where? The 8200-ish level? Is that also the yellow 20 minus moving average on the weekly? Is that also where the Jewel was saying that we're going to go on the weekly? Is that also where plenty of other things, like the gap on CMEs is being shouted about for the last fucking 2 months ad nauseum? Actually, yes. And at some point in time, we probably do come back down and fill it out. But again, can take a long time. And this one, well, how long will it take, from start to finish? Nobody fucking knows. But I know two things. I know first and foremost, if we do happen to come down to the mid to low 8,000s, I'll likely try a trade there from a longer term perspective. And more importantly, and the trade that I'm actually looking a lot more forward to is if we could get the golden cross on the 4-hour to the upside once again, I'd be happy to ride on that one, because as you've seen, all those trades, that kind of had that signature were pretty fucking good trades, at least in my book. I mean, pretty fucking good trades. So again, as far as what we're looking at right now, it does feel to me that lower time frames, probably a little bit of bullish here. Medium to higher time frames are the things that suggest that we go lower over time. Yes, how long does that take? I mean, this could take months in some cases. We don't know, but there are certainly things present, and I'd rather just keep like an open eye and an open heart as well with this price action. I think for the most part, the critical areas are still still pretty damn well defined and pretty much the same. They really haven't changed all that much as far as the greater consolidation goes. Any sort of a daily dollar close above the 21 exponential moving average and also above this basically, basically the last sort of rejection right around 10,800. And I do think that that would open up the doors for a move back towards pretty much like 11.5 to 12,000-ish region. And this would take on a pretty different meaning. The next obvious area would be closing any sort of a daily doodle below, any sort of a daily doodle below 9,600, 9,700. Then we're extremely likely to come down at the very least to our prior low, and then probably fulfill that 8,500-ish region, give or take a few bucks. So again, the longer term, I hope I can make clear my thoughts on that. It's gonna take a long time, probably still, maybe a couple months out. The shorter term time frames, I do think we actually played a bounce here, and I do think that it has a little bit of power to it. Bounce targets, once again, if we could talk about it just very briefly, the first kind of target we already, to be fair, we kind of already hit it at about 9,900. We kind of got that during the morning's video, and that was what the pullback was emerging from. So I guess the next big one is going to be any sort of a break above this region right here, and especially above that last rejection at 99. I mean, just even taking back above there, that would look pretty damn good, and I'd immediately be looking for a move $10,000 plus to probably like 10.1, 10.150. Probably get a pullback there, find a few sellers, and then technically a measure move would be pointing us up a little bit higher towards 10,350 to 10,400-ish region. So that's essentially kind of what I'm looking for over the next, on the lower time frames and the higher time frames. I would let go of this idea if we did trade back below 96.50 or 100 if you want to be a little more conservative to the downside. Any sort of a, even an hourly total close below 9,600, and this is going to take on, and this is probably going to come back down to like 94, not just 94, but probably 90, 93. It's going to get a little bit more nasty. So yeah, until that happens, I do think that this bounce plays out a little bit more. If we violate this area right here, then no, that idea gets out the window, and I'd say probably a target of like 94 to 9,300-ish region before the next sort of like very short-term reprieve. Anyways, I think that's going to do it for right now. I do want to wish you well. I hope I can get this video up before the daily total close, and as always, wish you well in this lovely little Wednesday early evening. Take care and see you soon.